GETCRACK. Wake up, motherfucker.
Fall is here and winter is coming, and you need to shop Lowe's Customs. For the ladies, there's stunning designs and colors. For the men, Lowe can make something manly to keep your insecurities in check. But wait, there's more. For you simps, there's a special Simp Edition, where Lowe will roll around in it, blow smoke from the finest Southern Eastern American marijuana. She'll even rub her pretty feet all over it just for you. So what are you waiting for? Shop Lowe's Customs now, exclusively on the John Galt Urban Landlord channel. Let Lowe help you stay cozy and warm this season. Shop Lowe's Customs today.
GETCRACK. Wake up, motherfucker.
Good morning. There you go. Checking. All right. We got 2 more minutes until the PPI number drops. I think JP Morgan did all right. Yeah, I didn't see anything too bad as of yet. So let's see what happens when the numbers drop. Yesterday I had some interesting news from Tesla, so I'll show some videos from that. Let's see how Tesla is doing pre-market. Yeah, 6% down. So they weren't impressed. Probably another buying opportunity for Tesla coming down soon. Let's see how the PPI comes in. All right, numbers released. 1 more minute. Oh, it should be released now. Come on. Oh man, yeah, big reaction so far. This number is about the same. Nothing too dramatic. All right. Let's see if this holds. We have a green candle day. Then we can pump until next week. All right. So let's just go put in the video, show you what Tesla did yet last night.
Welcome. Welcome to the We Robot Party. So we have quite a show for you tonight. I think you're gonna like it. As you can see, I just arrived in the robotaxi, the cybercab, and there's 20 more where that came from. So they've been traveling. There's no people in them, as you can see. The car's just going by with no people. And we have 50 fully autonomous cars here tonight. So you'll see Model Ys and the cybercab, all driverless. You'll be able to take a ride in the cybercab. There's no steering wheel or pedals. So I hope this goes well.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. All right, let me put this up here. See that. So far, market's doing well after the PPI release. So, yep, I think we're gonna see a good day today, unless 7 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock Eastern. The Michigan, University of Michigan inflation consumer expectations report doesn't turn out well. Let me show you little pieces of the presentation of Tesla yesterday. I think it's still 6% down pre-market.
If you think of times past where there used to be an elevator operator in every elevator, but once in a while they get tired and they accidentally shear somebody in half. So now we have automated elevators. You just get in an elevator and you press a button, and you don't even think about it, and it just takes you to the floor. And if you did see an elevator operator with a big relay switch, you'd be like, "That's weird." Now that's how cars will be, and it's not just the lives saved in injuries, but if you think about the cumulative time that people spend in a car, and the time that they will get back, that they can now spend, well, I guess, on their phones, or watching a movie, or doing work, or whatever you want to do. You can think of the car in an autonomous world as being like just a little lounge. You're just sitting in a comfortable little lounge, and you can do whatever you want while you're in this comfortable little lounge. And when you get out, you will be at your destination. So, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So in fact, I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit. The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you will be able to buy one. Yes, exactly. And we expect the cost to be below $30,000. And I think there'll be an interesting business model where, like, let's say somebody is an Uber or Lyft driver today, where they can actually sort of manage a fleet of cars, and like sort of manage, I don't know, 10, 20 cars, and just sort of take care of them like a shepherd tends their flock. You have your flock of cars, and you're the shepherd, and you take care of your flock of cars. I think that would be pretty cool. I think it's going to be a glorious future. It's going to be really something special. So, yes, good, all excellent questions. So, we do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year. And that's obviously, that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes, but in 2026. So, yeah, before 2027. Let me put it that way. And we'll make this vehicle in very high volume, and but well before that, you will experience a robotic taxi via the Model 3 and Model Y program, and Model S and X too. But your 3 and Y will achieve unsupervised full self-driving with permission in wherever regulators essentially approve it in the U.S. and then to follow in outside the U.S. So, and Cybertruck too, yes, of course. Sorry, I don't want to yes. All our cars are basically all cars that we make. So let's not get nuanced here. All right, next slide. So one of the reasons why the computer can be so much better than a person is that we have millions of cars that are training on driving. So it's like living millions of lives simultaneously and seeing very unusual situations that a person in their entire lifetime would not see. But hopefully, yeah, exactly. So, so with that amount of training data, it's obviously going to be much better than what a human could be, because you can't live a million lives. And it's also, it can see in all directions simultaneously, and it doesn't get tired or text or any of those things. So it will naturally be, like I said, 10, 20, 30 times safer than a human, just for all those reasons. And I want to emphasize that the solution that we have is AI and vision. So there's no expensive equipment needed. So the Model 3 and Model Y and S and X that we make today will be capable of full autonomy unsupervised. And that means that our cost of producing the vehicle is low. Now, we are going to actually overspec the computer for the Cybercab. So our AI5 computer will be somewhat overspec'd. And because I think there's actually also an opportunity, sort of like an Amazon Web Services, where if the car's driving for 50 hours a week, there's still over 100 hours left. And there's a potential there to have a massive amount of distributed inference compute, where if you've got, like, say, a fleet of 100 million vehicles and a kilowatt of efficient inference compute, you have 100 gigawatts of compute, which is really quite substantial. And if it's there, you might as well use it. So, yeah, so that I think will make sense. So, all right, so our autonomous future is here. As I said, we've got 50 Teslas driving autonomously. We're trying to give you a sense of what cities will be like in the future. And when you get in, you'll see, like, it's really quite a wild experience to just be in a car with no steering wheel, no pedals, no controls, and it feels great. So, and we have enough vehicles here, so everyone should be able to try it out and experience the set that we've built here. It's a very big set, so it's like really, we've used sort of, I don't know, 20, 30 acres or something like that. It's really big. So it goes on, the ride's long. And we set it up to feel like a ride, like a park ride. So it'll be cool, and you'll get to experience it tonight. Something we're also doing is, and it's really high time we did this, is inductive charging. So the robotaxi has no plug. It just goes over the inductive charger and charges. So yeah, it's kind of how it should be. Thanks, guys. I love you too. So one of the things that is really interesting is how will this affect the cities that we live in? And when you drive around a city, or when the car drives you around a city, you'll see there's a lot of parking lots. There's parking lots everywhere, parking garages. So what would happen if you have an autonomous world is that you can now turn parking lots into parks. And so we're taking the ing lot out of parking lot. You're welcome. So there's a lot of opportunity to create green space in the cities that we live in. So that would be quite fantastic. Oh, and also, what happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? The Robovan. The Robovan is we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. So you can configure it for goods transport within a city, or transport of up to 20 people at a time. So this is gonna, the Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere, or you're looking to really get the cost of travel down to, I don't know, 5-10 cents a mile, then you can use the Robovan. Some people call it the Robovan, but so yeah. One of the things that we want to do, and we've seen this with the Cybertruck, is we want to change the look of the roads. The future should look like the future. So, speaking of robots, so everything we've developed for our cars, the batteries, power electronics, the advanced motors, gearboxes, the software, the AI inference computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot. It's the same techniques. It's just a robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you could have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. And I think at scale, this would cost something like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. Probably less than a car, is my prediction long term. Now, it'll take us a minute to get to the long term, but fundamentally at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll be able to do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk.
Oh man! Yeah,
and
baby.
drinks,
You're gonna talk to ChatGPT in live
whatever
skin,
you
man.
can think of, it will do.
Hell, I could have sex with
And,
ChatGPT
yeah,
at this
it's gonna be
point.
awesome. And I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Yeah.
So yes, this is the future. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, that's 20 grand. Oh, that's cheap. Welcome to inflation. 20 grand. It'll be like $100, $200 for a loaf of bread pretty soon with the inflation we got. 20 grand sounds a pretty good deal. That's what's the whole point of this show. Time to get money, man. Because if you don't beat inflation, man, you're going to be in the lower classes. And there are levels of existence you don't want to be at. Trust me, I'm Asian. I know how low you can go. So let's see. Let's see what we got here. We got some short that people are filming next to those robots. Let's see what they got.
That's getting very close here, Amy. How many actuators do I have? Oh, I'm sorry, can I actually have everyone to take one step backwards? Thank you, I do need space to function.
You sound like you are.
Actuators. Well, sitting on my arms, I can only count 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only see 4 at the moment. What about on your legs? I'm not really sure. Oh, no way. That'll be worth it. He understands you, Bruce. How are you today? I'm doing very good. How are you? Doing great, man.
Oh man, I can't wait for these things to just revolt.
What's your favorite song to dance to?
My favorite type of song to dance to?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of EDM. He uses a lot of electronics. Yes, yes.
Tell them to do the moonwalk. Come on.
My favorite artist? Music artist. That's a tough one. Music. That's very tough. Okay, well, I guess I am a big fan of Daft Punk. Daft Punk is very good. Yeah. Honestly, that's probably a very good answer. Yeah.
Show us how to dance to Daft Punk.
Alrighty, I'll show you a few of my dances.
You are smarter than humans? Are you smarter than humans?
I am very smart.
Yeah, this is cool. Are you smarter than humans?
I'm waiting for the dance move.
I love it. Hula is my favorite dance. So smooth.
Which drones? Which drones? Which drones are we talking about? The AI drones or the human ones?
Can you stand on one leg? Can you dance one more time?
Yeah, I'll give you one more.
Yes, please.
You are so fluid in human life. More than most humans. Thank you very much.
You come to market, I'll take 2.
I'm sorry. What was that?
When you come to market, I'll take 2.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Can you balance on your right foot?
At the moment, I prefer to stay on both feet.
Almost got him.
Smarty band. He has no pants.
Do you guys grab some drinks and snacks from our drink and snack bar?
Do you load it on?
Can you charge wirelessly?
Well, I do like to. Oh, I'm very sorry. I do need space, and I can't have any physical contact. I'm very sorry. No high fives. No high fives. As for charging, I do like to charge, but I can only say that much. I'm very sorry.
Geofence.
Did you all want to hear a joke?
Yes.
We love a joke. Yes. Alrighty. Let me think. Oh, I know. What's a bot's favorite drink? You would think it would be oil, but actually it's hydraulic fluid. It's the real hard stuff.
Yuck, 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 yuck.
Makes sense, makes sense. Hey, number 37, what is your name? Hello! No way.
Wow.
Are you powered by Grok, or how are you interpreting our questions right now? Well, I can only answer so much. I do only have a set amount of things I can say. Fair enough, fair enough. We respect your privacy.
Do you do any work at the factory?
Thank you. Yeah. Any job that I'm set out to do, I will complete. Hey, number 37, what type of shoes do you have on?
How many hours can you work for?
As long as my charge will take me.
He's answering. It's live, it's not like recorded.
How old are you? I know I've been in production for a while, but actual age, I'm kind of unsure. Hey, number 37, how tall are you? I think I'm 5'10". Definitely not a short king, unfortunately. And how big is your shoe size? I'd rather not talk about that, unfortunately. I do have some rather big feet.
Are you strong enough to lift me?
Have you been doing work at the Gigafactory? Well, I know I have been working out. I mean, look at these guns. Sometimes
He's getting half the questions, like the ones who can interpret.
How much can you lift? How much weight can you lift?
Because they're geofence, right?
At the moment, I can't fully answer that. I'm very sorry. No, but how fast can you run? Do you think in future? I can walk pretty fast, but it's within safety.
What information were you told not to share with us?
Overtake humans?
I'm very sorry. Can you repeat that?
In the future, do you think you will overtake humans?
No, definitely not.
Did you hear that question? Do you think in the future you'll overtake humans? Definitely not. Anyway, guys. Oh man, that's enough of that. Hilarious. Anyway, yes. We gotta continue on. Talk about other things. It has quite a bit to talk about in terms of articles, anyway. I'm not sure. I wanted to discuss a few other topics left over from the last time. Maybe we'll have to leave it for another time. The pre-market so far still undecided, I guess. We lost most of the gains on that pump and we're moving back down. So that pump did not last. I guess we are undecided. We'll have to wait for the opening into 30 minutes in, which is about 10 o'clock Eastern, when we get the University of Michigan data. So I would suggest you get ready to be getting the hell out of any long positions today. If you have any leftover long positions from the past weeks when you bought the dip. If things turn sour. Anything else? No, I will go on to the articles now. We will talk about one earnings report that I was interested in. Yes, it's still up 15% as of pre-market. I will talk about this stock. This is one of my favorite little stocks to trade. Let me get that chart for you. It is quite a speculative stock. So it's not for everyone, but, you know, it could be a good buy. So right now, 17% up pre-market on earnings. Not bad at all. It's AEHR. I don't know how to pronounce that. AHR. test systems, and I'll go over some articles about Aher because unique guys need to know about silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is one of the new technologies that essentially made Tesla possible. And Tesla last year said they were going to stop using this technology, which caused this stock and others to crash. But, you know, it could be still a good trading opportunity. Let me try to find this article. Let's go with this one first. We can discuss it. Okay. Okay, let me put in the chat for you guys. You guys can read this. So, the rise of silicon carbide in electric vehicle power electronics. Okay, let me get one thing on. Let me zoom in so I can read it. Electric vehicles are revolutionizing transport, offering cleaner and more efficient alternatives to traditional internal combustion engine vehicles. Their power electronic systems are central to their performance and efficiency, which control the flow of electricity from the battery to the motor and other components. In recent years, a material known as silicon carbide has emerged as a game changer in EV power electronics, offering numerous advantages over traditional silicon solutions. All right. Put the link up there for you guys. You can copy paste that. So, what is silicon carbide? SiC. Silicon carbide is a compound semiconductor material composed of silicon and carbide atoms. Its unique properties make it highly attractive for use in power electronics applications. Compared to silicon, silicon carbide offers higher breakdown voltage, faster switching speeds, lower on resistance, and better thermal conductivity. You know, if Rashu is here, I probably could tell him, he probably could tell you more about this stuff. When I was doing RC cars, and when he started doing his ventures into electronics, I think when he was a kid he started doing RC cars, so he probably does know about the MOSFET switches. So when you had those little switches on there, they were specialized, little circuits that could take a lot of voltage and a lot of current to turn the motors on the RC cars. So if you're looking at a Tesla, it's just a big, more complex version of that little RC car. So now we are using this technology to be able to switch a lot of amps and currents between the battery to the motor to make it like the wheels move back and forth, right? So these characteristics translate to more efficient and compact power electronic systems, making SiC an ideal choice for EVs. So SiC is revolutionizing how electricity is converted, controlled, and distributed. Traditionally, silicon has been the dominant material used in power electronic devices due to its abundance and relatively low cost. However, as these systems demand higher efficiency, greater power density, and improved reliability, SiC has emerged as a superior alternative. Okay. I won't go any further. You can read that on your own. All right. Now, impact of SiC on EV performance. Integrating SiC technology into EV power systems profoundly impacts the overall performance of these vehicles. SiC's unique properties enable significant improvements in various aspects of operation, ranging from efficiency and range to acceleration and charging times. Charging times. This is the key. How quickly can they charge those batteries? This is a key component into how things work for EVs at this point. So we're going to switch there. Fast switching speeds of SiC devices enable higher switching frequencies in power converters, facilitating faster charging of EV batteries, reducing charging times with SiC technology enhances the convenience and practicality of electronic vehicle ownership, addressing one of the key concerns of consumers regarding adoption. Faster charging also contributes to EV charging infrastructure scalability, supporting the widespread deployment of EVs. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, this is pretty long, so you can definitely read it on your own. So we can move on. Now, what's going on today? This is the problem. What did Tesla say last year? So this was March 22, 2023. Article from Motley Fool summarizing what's going on. Tesla is axing silicon carbide chips, or is it? Aher Test Systems provides some clarity. So Aher is the stock I'm looking at right now, up 16.5% pre-market. Tesla announced a new powertrain for a future vehicle that features 75% less silicon carbide components. Chip makers involved with silicon carbide dipped on the news, although key industry player Aher Test System doesn't see Tesla's announcement as having a big impact on future demand. Silicon carbide is an emerging growth story, so investors should exercise prudence when choosing stocks on the market, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just some boilerplate thing. Tesla's new powertrain is more efficient. This isn't bad news for silicon carbide semiconductors company. So 2023 Investor Day presentation from Tesla gave some semiconductor shareholders a scare. The company has been designing a new generation powertrain for its electric vehicles, one that uses 75% less silicon carbide than before. Shares of chip design and manufacturing companies involved in silicon carbide took a brief dip following the announcement. The emphasis is on the word brief because Tesla's announcements shouldn't be viewed as bad news. Okay, that's just like opinion. Okay, why reduce silicon carbide chips in the first place? Silicon is the basic substrate for the majority of semiconductors, building blocks for all things computing, tech, electronic devices. But for higher voltage applications, like in EV powertrains, silicon has its limitations. That's when silicon carbide, silicon mixed with carbon, comes in, since it can better handle higher voltages and heat. The problem, though, is that silicon carbide is a newer semiconductor substrate. It lacks this efficient mass manufacturing scale of silicon, and it's more complicated to produce silicon carbide wafers, large round discs that eventually get chopped up into chips. And we will have to discuss the whole North Carolina thing with the courts. If I have enough time, I can go over it today really quickly, but let's move on. Thus, as Tesla continues to look for ways to bring a more affordable EV to market, the so-called Model 2, constructing a more efficient powertrain is a must, and less silicon carbide means lower cost. So several stocks dropped on this news in 2023. On Semiconductor, ON, I believe is a ticker symbol. Silicon Microelectronics, STM is the ticker symbol, and Wolfspeed, I think WOLF was the ticker symbol there, right? You can look here. So they all dropped, and Wolfspeed dropped 20%. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Aher Test System dropped 7%. So at that time, yeah, things were not looking good for some of those companies. However, Aher Test Systems quickly responded with a don't panic message. Aher Test System is a small chip fab equipment maker that specializes in critical testing machines for silicon carbide wafers and devices, making it one of the best pure plays on the nascent silicon carbide market. It is in talks with multiple silicon carbide chip makers as they figure out how to profitably ramp up their operations for the EV market, as well as other growing silicon carbide markets like renewable energy. Aher CEO Gain Erickson is thus in a position to provide some clarity on silicon carbide development. In a prepared statement shortly following Tesla's investor event, Ericsson said Tesla clarified that the 75% reduction in silicon carbide applies only to the next generation lower cost drive units to be included in the newer model platform, which is still in development with a yet to be announced initial ship date. Tesla clarified that this will not impact the current high performance model platforms, including Model S, X, Model 3Y vehicles. Ericsson also noted that while the number of silicon carbide devices in Tesla's new powertrain might be reduced by 75%, the actual size of each silicon carbide chip in these devices is roughly 50% larger than what's currently used in Tesla's powertrains, which were originally announced back in 2017. In other words, silicon carbide wafer demand from the EV market remains roughly unchanged following Tesla's update. Tesla further clarified that the new inverters will be made from new Tesla proprietary custom module packages, and that Tesla would purchase the die from multiple manufacturers and package them in this Tesla proprietary custom module. Okay. There you go. Okay, that guy doesn't see any problem. We'll see about that. And I will put this one out. I think I have a article about some fab. Okay, here we go. So ST Microelectronics. When I was in school, I used to actually partner with these guys to make our chips. So yeah, I know a little bit about this company. So it's in Europe. It's like France, Italy. So it's a combination of France, Italy. I think it was a merger between two companies, and so they're probably one of the few companies that actually still fabricate semiconductors in Europe. And the same thing with the US. A lot of the reasons why the US and Europe still manufacture semiconductors is because analog components, mixed signal components, are still done in the first world countries. The crappier, cheaper, easier to produce stuff, is done in China. And then in the middle, we have Taiwan. Taiwan is an advanced, semiconductor producer, but they produce primarily digital circuits. Digital circuits are easier to produce well than analog because analog is more custom. Actually, when you do design in analog, you kind of have to be an artist. You still have to hand draw your circuits. In digital, you don't need to do that. It's really, you just code it up. You just code it like C++ or something, and it'll generate the circuit for you. So it's very automated in that sense. But analog still has to be drawn by hand in a lot of cases to get the maximum performance. So you have these, actually, the best layout people are women. So a lot of analog designers tend to be women. And most of the women analog designers I found were Iranian. So if you go to conferences, you'll find a lot of Persian analog designers. So, that's interesting tidbit there for you guys to know about. Tesla supplier ST Microelectronics to build $5 billion euro, EV chip fab in Italy. The EU is covering almost half of the cost. So this is May 31st, 2024 article. I'll put that in the chat for you guys. And I forgot to put the previous article in the chat for you guys too. So you guys can get the links to those two articles. Okay, there you go. So ST Microelectronics has announced plans to build a giant factory in Italy that will make specialist microchips for EVs and other high voltage power devices. The Swiss firm is the world's largest producer in silicon carbide microchips, particularly valued by automakers for being lightweight, energy efficient, and strong. This translates to EVs that can drive further and are less prone to technical failures. ST Microelectronics' new facility will specialize in making 200 millimeter wafers. It will be located in Catania on the island of Sicily. Building it is expected to cost in the region of 5 billion euros. The EU has agreed to foot 2 billion euros of the bill under the CHIPS Act. How interesting. So we got an EU CHIPS Act, we have a US CHIPS Act. This landmark law mobilizes more than 43 billion euros with the aim to boost the bloc's share of global semiconductor production from 10% today by 20% in 2030. The new plant in Sicily will strengthen the European semiconductor supply chain. And ensure our access to a reliable source of power efficient chips, said the EU's competition chief. Man, the EU has a competition chief? Margarete Vestager. Okay. ST Microelectronics, which counts Tesla, BMW, and Renault among its customers, ramped up production last year despite a global downturn in the semiconductor market. The Swiss firm already has a 150 millimeter wafer production plant in Catania, Italy. The new plant will be built next to it. The company is also currently building a new facility in China to serve the rapidly growing Chinese EV market. You see, they still doing business with China. You know, Europe is so dependent on China because the Chinese domestic demand is the only way Europe will grow, I guess. I mean, you got a lot of socialism in Europe. How are you going to fund all that without going to China? ST Microelectronics expects the new facility to start production in 2026, reaching full capacity in 2033. At full speed, the production line will be able to churn out 15,000 wafers per week. All right. I think that's enough of that. Now I'll do one more article here. So what's the alternative to silicon carbide? There is other technology out there, and this is one of them. We'll use a different material to generate this. Put this in the link. You can look this up yourself. Silicon carbide and gallium nitride for EV power efficiency. Key takeaways about power semiconductors for electric vehicles. Generating the energy needed by EVs isn't without ecological consequences. The employment of wide band gap semiconductors. Okay, that's too technical for you guys. You're just gonna have to take that, and if you are interested, you can look up wide band gap. I don't think I have the time to teach you semiconductor physics right now. Anyway, such as gallium nitride and silicon carbide within EVs makes them as electrically efficient as possible. The use of wide bandgap semiconductors within EVs allows them to require less power from the grid, underpinning a greener future. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. This intro is kind of too much here. Okay. Let's go. It needs to use energy as efficiently as possible. Its wide bandgap semiconductors, such as gallium nitride and silicon carbide, make that possible. Okay, so gasoline versus electricity. If you think EVs have an unfair advantage, you're right. Before anything else, Electrical motors are just plain more efficient than gasoline motors. Yes, that is true. Blah. There's something else that's even more profound. Just look under the hood of even the most powerful vehicle from the 1960s. You can actually see the pavement under the vehicle. If you make the same observation in a modern gas vehicle, you won't see the ground, but instead a frightening array of pumps, tubes, vents, and whatnot. A chemical engineer's paradise devoted to nothing other than pollution control. That's all missing in EVs. Okay. Electric motors don't generate pollution like gasoline engines do. No pollution control system is needed. All the hydrocarbon pollution control is taken care of at the source, the power plant. Instead of the many millions of gasoline powered cars, each supporting a complex, energy hungry automatic pollution control system, there need be only one such system at the power plant itself, constantly monitored by both human experts and advanced automation. The end result is one supremely efficacious system replacing millions of less effective vehicle based arrangements. All right. The EV's gas tank, its reservoir of power, is the lithium ion battery, and it stores perhaps 150 kilowatt hour of DC electricity at 800 volts. The problem is that very little in the car runs at 800 volts DC. The main motor runs at AC voltages in the range of 400 to 800 voltages AC. There are a myriad of other devices that require a dizzying range of voltages. This conversion process is at the heart of what makes an EV tick. So the wide band gaps can do this far more efficiently than classical silicon semiconductors can. All right. So you can read more of this on your own. I think. Oh, this is very nice. They put this nice chart here. What are the main characteristic differences between gallium nitride and silicon carbide? There are two differences that stand out and are of crucial importance to EV designers. Basically speaking, silicon carbide can handle much more power, but gallium nitride can switch faster. The sands are constantly shifting, but this classical diagram tells the story. All right, if you care, you can take a picture of that. I'll remove the chat here box so you get it. So you see what frequency it can switch, the power it can take, and you put that in there. And I guess that sweet spot is that square they put in dashed lines. So that sweet spot is where we're at, where we want to be. So that's a little engineering for you today. However, there is one axis on which wideband gaps come out a loser, and that's cost. There we go. And this is why I guess Elon said, forget it. I got to get out of this thing. So, one of the central features of an EV is the drivetrain inverter, the semiconductor based device that converts the LIB's DC voltage to the constantly varying AC waveforms required to power the EV's main motor. For most more powerful EVs, higher power silicon carbide semiconductors are the clear technical choice. But as we shall see, the high cost of silicon carbide devices are a major impediment. Tesla's SiC issues. So Tesla was the first EV manufacturer to adapt SiC technology for a drivetrain inverter. IMED, the manufacturer's ubiquitous Model 3. Man, somebody messed up something there in the sentence. It was a catalyst for a massive expansion of the SiC industry. We might also add that it had implications well beyond the transportation industry. Then in 2023, Tesla dropped a bombshell when it announced a planned 75% reduction of silicon carbide usage. It was thought that they might employ lower cost gallium nitride devices or maybe even revert to last generation silicon IGBTs. Some insight can be gained by taking a look at the assumed insides of the Tesla inverter. Man, they go into in depth, but I don't see where the next see another diagram, huh? Yeah, okay. I guess I gotta go to the links, but anyway, yes, you can read that on your own. So we can see that most of it is because of cost. Yeah, this gets into more nuance in the engineering of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the largest impediment to massive EV adaptation is a lack of charging infrastructure. Seeing the handwriting on the wall, gas retailers are making the logical move into providing for profit, of course, charging for the motoring public. By most measures, the efficiency of the pathway between charging station to the EV's wheels is well over 90% even now. The last great frontier is the LIB itself. Scientists and engineers in the US, Europe, East Asia are poring over the problems, the most critical being how long it takes a device to charge. While EVs may have been the initial catalyst spurring WGB, so the wide uh, band gap development, other areas of technology are not only reaping the benefits, but are also contributing to development. Areas include server farms already serving the internet, need a well regulated supply of power. So solar and wind power, smart grid, MRI machines, CT scanning. Okay, they going up all kinds of stuff here. Mm, 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 mm. So I mean, this stuff might be also critical for distribution of power in the future. So yeah, I would guess that we definitely should look into these type of companies that might do this type of work. But in any case, let's see how Aher is doing. 17% pre-market. So we have 5 minutes till market opens. I think, yeah, let's check back into things here. Yeah, I don't see any change right now. I mean, it's been a fight between buyers and seller all morning. We had a pump, we dumped. Now we're back to the same place where we were before the news dropped. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. No. Yeah. Nothing decided. Nothing decided right now. In any case, let's see if I have anything else. I think we can talk about the courts today. Yeah, we can get over that. 4 more minutes until it opens. So let's get into the court stuff. Oh man. Let's get into this article here. Two mines in North Carolina are the world's only producer of the quartz necessary for semiconductor manufacturing. If they were to stop operating, it would mean a few years of catastrophic disruption, says Wharton professor Ethan Mollick. So this was March 24, 2024, well before the hurricanes. Why it matters. Ultra high purity quartz is an essential component to semiconductor chips. And the only places in the world that can meet this need are two mines in a South North Carolina town. The mine's owner, Sibelco, is investing 700 million to expand capacity. But is that enough to keep up with AI-fueled chip demand? So Spruce Pine is a small town about 2 hours drive northwest of Charlotte, North Carolina. You can get to the general area via a number of ways, depending on your point of origin. But for the last stretch of the chip, you need to travel down Fish Hatchery Road. It's a 2-lane rural highway as depicted in Google Maps, set amid a pleasant scenic backdrop. It's on this road that the modern economy rests, according to Wharton Associate Professor Ethan Mollick, who teaches innovation and entrepreneurship and also examines the effect of artificial intelligence on work and education. That's because the road runs to the two mines that are the sole supplier of the quartz required to make the crucibles needed to refine silicon wafers. All right. So I think I'll give a link and you can read more of this and we can discuss what those processes are. Find my tab here. I'll put this in there. So I'll put that article up there for you guys. Oh, I forgot to share the screen. Oh, we have 2 minutes until open. So let me just share the screen a bit for the article. So you can see there. Yeah. So this was what I was reading. That's the mine. The two mines in North Carolina. So a lot of these people are tweeting. So let's see. Let's read the end of this. How did this unassuming North Carolina town gain such an outsized role in the global semiconductor supply chain? The answer is its unique mineral deposits, which formed 380 million years ago during the collision of Africa and North America. The intense heat and lack of water during their formation created quartz rock of unparalleled purity. These rocks are extracted from the ground and turned into quartz gravel, which is then processed into a fine sand. The silicon is separated from other materials and then goes through a final milling. The final product is a powder that is shipped to the refineries. Then an inexorable march of artificial intelligence will continue to drive demand for chips and the materials in the supply chain. One question to ponder is whether spruce pine can keep up. Sibelco, of course, has noted these trends as well, and last year announced a $200 million investment to double high purity quartz capacity at its spruce pines facility, citing demand for the product, which is sold under the brand name IOTA. It will invest a further $500 million between 2024 and 2027. All right, markets open. Let's see how it goes. I think we're up right now. Yeah, we're pumping. See how the Nasdaq's doing. Nasdaq is down 0.4%. S&P 500 is up though, so it's fine. So we're getting a mixed result now. Let's see how the Russell is doing. Man, the Russell is still in this range. Yeah, it's still stuck. Yeah, it's still stuck. So I don't think we're going to be having any decision left. Next week, we'll be waiting on Thursday. Thursday, we'll have earnings from TSMC, so Taiwan Semiconductors, Thursday morning around 2 a.m. my time, which will be around 5 a.m. Eastern, I believe. And also, we have retail sales. So that'll be around 8:30 Eastern retail sales. So, and also China will have some reports later that day, probably 10 p.m. or something like that Eastern overnight. But otherwise, yeah, there's really nothing going on next week except for earnings from the banks. So we'll have more earnings from the Bank of America. We still have to get. So JP Morgan's done. JP Morgan's up. Wells Fargo up. And BlackRock, I think. BlackRock should be reported already. Yes, it's up. So all the banks are doing fine right now. So nothing special there. So as far as the tech sector goes, yes, you're going to need more juice. It is stuck. Nasdaq is stuck. I think Nvidia tried yesterday to do something, still stuck here. See, we're above the resistance line at red, the red line around 129.66, but the middle point between that and the high, you see, is around 134, 134. We're at 133.9 right now, so we can't make it to the upper half of that range. So unless that pulls things up, I don't know. I really don't see any catalyst until TSMC reports, and TSMC will report again Thursday. So it'll be early Thursday morning, very early. It's Taiwanese time. They'll report during the day. Anyway, let's see. Natural gas still having trouble. Yeah, still having trouble to get back up. And let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin, yeah, it's doing fine. It's up 2.3% right now. Yeah, it's trying to hold 60K. If it can do that, through Halloween, I think it's prepped to do well. So I think we'll have to go over some Bitcoin mining stocks. Mara is one of them. That's one I like to play. CLSK is another one I like to play. It's been dancing at the bottom. So when I played Mara and CLSK was around September to October time period when it started going down here for the last one. And then if you got it at around $3, you could have sold it for 13, or you bought it again, or you held it, didn't care about this. You could have sold it for 21. Very nice move. 3 to 21 in CLSK. And if you do options, that's way more. If you did Mara, you were $7 at the October low during the drop into September, October, and then you got the rise back up to 30. So yeah, I like using these as a proxy for Bitcoin. They move a lot more when Bitcoin's juiced. I know people like MSTR, that's Michael Saylor's company, but yeah, for the most part, it's still priced well. Right now, actually, MSTR is outperforming Bitcoin since most of September to October right now. So comparatively, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely outperforming still. It's still stuck in the range still, though, but yeah. For most Bitcoin proxies, it's pretty damn good. Anyway, let's look at PLL. So this is a lithium producer, still stuck. It's done the best out of all of them. And we'll look at Air Test Systems. So it was up 70%. It's going down since pre-market. So yeah, it's dropping. So I'll be watching this, seeing where it lands. Might be worth something to buy if this earnings holds, because for the most of this year, Yeah, most of this year it hasn't been doing very well. Yeah, since the summer. No, it's stuck. It's been stuck since the summer. So let's see. I think the announcement that Tesla was stopped doing silicon carbide was March, right? March 2023. So it had a dip. It still went up over the summer, but it's crashed since then. Demand has not picked up. But maybe it's a change right here. Maybe this is the right change. So if the chart looks good, I'll definitely consider it. Okay, natural gas still not having it today. Yeah, I think we gotta get better weather reports for the coming winter. If you're not gonna get good weather reports, you cannot escape this area that we're stuck in. Yeah, we still need more work to do. Now, one of the things I talked about yesterday was the nines. The nines. You see these nines. And, you know, I'm not an expert on DeMark counts, but DeMark is one of those techniques that's kind of esoteric, and maybe some of you guys might like that. You might like that kind of thinking, like Momo. So I think Momo might be interested in trying to understand this stuff. You can definitely read his books or whatever. I'll probably reference them sometime down the line. But in case you're interested in figuring out how come I have these ratio from crude oil to natural gas, and every time it gets to 9, it kind of signals a top, doesn't it? Pretty damn good at it. I mean, this doesn't work all the time, but you got 9 here, drop, hit 9, you went through it though. You got 13, you crashed. Go there, you get a 9, you go down, 9. You never got really higher than this point when it was up here. Went back down, you got a 9, you got a 9, and you got a 9. So there is some mystery to this, I suppose. And maybe some of you are interested in learning. So I will actually play a video from the horse's mouth. So this dude here is called Tom DeMark. DeMark, DEMARK. And you can look him up. Now, whether you believe him or not is another question about how this system works, but let's play a little video.
I got to tell you, the Japanese yen, just in my familiarity with people in the hedge fund business, there are a lot of people trading the currency. I mean, the currency market is well over $100 billion a day. This is where all the action is. This is where all the big players are. They use leverage. There have been a lot of people hurt in this market this year. And if they had used this simple technique, they wouldn't have been hurt. They would have been on the right side of the market. There are people who have gone out of business with billions of dollars actually selling, which is a trend, into these 9 lows when they should have been buying. But let me show you. This is somewhat inactive back in June. We should probably use the September contract, but it would apply. Same thing because I was there. This closed greater than 4 trading days earlier, but we did a series of 9. And what happened? The market turned here. Now, what I like to look at, and this is not in the book, I stress that. This is important. For a setup, if you want to maybe trade these 9s, day 9 should be less than the low. The low, if you're looking for a buy setup, the low on that particular day should be less than the low of day 8, day 7, but more importantly, day 6. And I'll show you why as this thing unfolds, because this is something that what happens, it's still a good low, but what happens, if you're not less than, specifically, the day 9's low is not less than the low of day 6, you have another day down over and over again. seems to reappear more and more, where the market just finally cleans everybody out. And now say, for example, this low on 9 had been greater than 6, you would have seen another day down, and then it would have turned, if it was going to turn on a 9. But let's just go through these now. So you got a 9 here, it's just a low close. That's another thing, too. When you start looking at charts, after a while, if someone held a chart up over there, provided I can see that far, I pick out the 9s. I can just see them. My mind is just focused right on 9s. I mean, this is my baby, and I can see it anywhere. I can almost feel it. You know, the 9s just appear over and over again. Where someone came to me, a couple weeks ago in Chicago when I spoke to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, said, here's a 9. I just looked at the chart. I said, there's no 9 there. Yeah, there is. Look. There wasn't. It was off by a tick. You just get a sense for it after a while. Now, one thing I want to stress before we go on, though, too, these are 9 consecutive, bold print, consecutive closes less than the trading close, so the close 4 trading days earlier. Not less than or equal to. Don't get caught up in this with less. Well, this one's equal, so I'm going to count it. Don't use the equals. And we'll show you examples where the equals should not be. This is in a setup. But I'm also going to show you an improvement to the sequential countdown where you do use equals. It's not in the book, and it's a real enhancement. And I'll show you example after example. We'll go from one to the other. Where I use equal, and this thing is calling the precise high, but because you're using greater than for the countdown, or less than for the countdown. This is not part of the setup. You're missing trades. But as far as the setup's concerned, you do not use equals. It's got to be less than for a buy setup. It's got to be greater than for a sell setup. But here, going through this 9 was less than 6, so you're all right. The market's moving up. Do you want to do a training mode? I'll show you one feature of this system. They've set up a training mode, so you can follow this day by day. You can see it unfolding. There's 9 over there. You got a 200-point move here.
This is the 9
premature.
you're talking about right here.
Yeah, just keep going this way. But you got a 9. You got to play here. I mean, this is 9,600 and 9,750. It's 150 points, and $1,250 per point. That's about $1,900. Okay, here's a 2. He's just going to take you right through it. It's a great training session right here, which maybe you might want to look at later, just to get an appreciation for how it's defining it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Canceled it out. Why did we cancel it out? We had 8 consecutive closes greater than the close 4 trading days earlier. I'm going to get a 9. Oh, I'm all excited. I'm going to get a 9. What happens? This particular close here is less than the trading close 1, 2, 3, 4. What is happening, and I see this in the market's regenerating.
That's an equal closer.
Is it equal? Okay,
Yeah.
It's equal close. What the market's doing, it's regenerating. It's really building power. If it had gone straight up with 9, you're probably going to get a short-term peak, what I call a stutter in the market. The market's going to take its breath and come down. This particular case, hey, the market said, and I'll tell you, just from my own experience, I've got 2 close friends who use this religiously. One's at one of the major mutual funds in the country. He's been top 5 in performance this year. And as far as timing, he uses exclusively this. He doesn't know all the nuances that you people are going to know, but he obviously has an appreciation for it. The other fellow is one of the major hedge funds. We've seen it time after time where this equal, for example, in this setup was enough just to cancel it. And you sit there and you'll watch the markets. On the close, the market will play around this point so many times, it'll just gravitate to this level. And it takes on a meaning. There's a real significance there. There's dynamics within the market that I can't express, I can't explain, but they're there. Now, in this particular case, you cancel that 8 setup, sell setup, because you only, with the 8 sell setup, as opposed to 9, you cancel that movement.
We can go back to that. Here's the 7.
Okay, there's 7. You can see that. There's 8. It's greater than 4. Not. Now this close is greater. It's got to be greater because it's the 1 there.
Yeah. With all this, I'm sure it is because of the scaling that we're having to do with this position.
Now up here, this is your first close, greater than the close 4 trading days earlier. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5. Gone. Why is it gone? Because this close is less than the close 4 days earlier. The market's moving higher, and it's fooling a lot of people. Everybody's bearish. I mean, Japanese yen, first time post-history, is above $1. No one believes it. You see the pullback, But I'm looking at it and say, hey, you got to do a 9 at least to the upside. There's a 1.
Sorry. We're continuing to go higher.
Okay, 1, 2.
We were down here.
Yeah.
And we continue to move higher. I had it off the chart.
Okay. There's a 1 and 2 down. There's a 1 up, 2, 3, 4. This will just give you an appreciation for the setup. Now here, in this one here, now it's regenerating again. 2 and a 3. There's 6, there's 7. Nope, there's a 1 up. There. Now we're going to do some business. Hopefully make a low. This is when? What period of time? August.
That's August of this year.
I remember this in August there was a low. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That 9's low was less than those.
Less than the 6.
Less than the 6, that whole set. Similar to the one we had back earlier in the year. And what the market did, it took off. This is when a number of the major hedge funds sold. And they got killed in this. There it goes. That's a big one. That's when you went close to new all-time highs. You're moving up there quick. Now, there's the 8th again. Same thing. Market said, no, I'm not ready to top out. I'm going to give you a pullback. I'm going to stutter. And that's what it's doing. Price says you pull back. Now you're going to regenerate again, I think. Well, you're moving sideways now. Hold on. It's going to do it again. Nope. 3, 4, 5. 1 for a buy setup, 2 for a buy setup, 1 for a sell setup, 2 for a sell setup, 1, back and forth, back and forth. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. See, it just, there, 6, 7, 8. Next one. Hope we get a 9. Okay, this 9 is above the 6. And that's important. I watched that one at this low. And they said, is it going to do a 9 and turn, or is it going to do on the full countdown? And like I said, I'll show you later how we hopefully increase the odds of distinguishing between whether a 9 is going to be a low or whether you're going to go to fulfillment, which is the countdown. But in this particular case, you can see the 9 was not less than the 6. The 6 is the real key day. I told you before, 7, 8, or 9. 6 is the real key day, like Rick said. What it told me is that you got one more day down. And you got it right there. Right here, day after. And then that's you have to get below 6. You probably would have put a sometime in this zone, you would have said, hey, there, you're at the low. And now, keep going. And that's when you had that strong move to the upside. It was virtually uncontested. I mean, the market just took off. And this is where you caught the hedge fund guys short. Now, there's a 9 again. Look at this one. Same thing, the reverse of that. Where we said before the 9 had to be less than the 6, the 9 has to be greater than the 6. It wasn't even greater than 7 and 8, so you knew you're going to make one more thrust up here.
Greater than the highs.
Greater than the high. The 9's high had to be greater than the 6's high. Conversely, at the low, the 9's low had to be less than the 6 low. See, over here it wasn't. 9 was not less than 6. The reverse of that would be high greater than high of 6. High of 9 greater than high of 6. And it wasn't. What happened, you made one more thrust when you went above the 6, and that's at 104.10 or something like that. And what happened? What did happen? Well, there. This is very somewhat recent. Yeah, now you're moving it. Now look what's happening here. You had a 1, 2, 3 for a buy setup, consecutive days, 4. Then you did a 1 up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm dwelling on this because unless you get this basic approach to the setup, the whole concept, you're going to have trouble with the countdown.
So I don't know if you understood most of that, but I think you just want to appreciate how these guys thought of patterns. You saw that. It's kind of like numerology, I guess. And I'll give you a more modern take with this dude here, Rick Bensignor. I think he's the only one I've seen that really takes this type of analysis to the next level.
Thanks for having me. Wanted to start off by explaining what In the Know Trader is and how it came about. So I've been on the street for, dare I say, I think I just started my 38th year on the street. And have had various positions on the street. I started with 12 years trading in the commodity pits, and that's really where I kind of learned the business. And the trading side of the business too, because when ultimately I became strategist at several top firms on the street, including Morgan Stanley, where I was chief market strategist for many years, the fact that I had a very good trading background really helped we understand markets in a way that many people don't, who are pure analysts and who haven't actually traded markets and understand the psychology of trading and how much it has a fact or a factor in how markets move. So in giving a little background, I realized years ago, and I'm talking probably in the neighborhoods of 25 plus years ago, this elements of psychology, having been the trader, having realized just even my own emotional influences that affect how I traded, just how important this is. And I realized it couldn't just be for me, it had to be for anybody who was making financial market decisions. And I started looking at a subject that really back then had virtually no material available, which was what today we call behavioral finance theory. And ultimately, over time, I kind of became very well known for behavioral finance theory, not just on the academic side for being able to teach it. So I was the first to teach it at New York University, but also how to apply it directly into the markets. And that's something very few people have been able to do specifically. There are a lot of people who talk about behavioral finance in a general sense, but very few people actually can figure out how to make money with it, with the concepts of it in the marketplace. So there's a lot of people who essentially know the academic side, but very, very few people who've been able to figure out how to increase profits and use the concepts of behavioral finance in trading. So when I started thinking about all these years that I've been a consultant, since I left working for sell-side firms on the street, I've been a consultant for years to institutional clients who make up the bulk of the base that I have, and the businesses that I've always run were to the institutional side. So I talk to hedge funds and long onlys and pension funds all the time, and these are my main clients. But just shy of a year ago, it occurred to me that the individual investor really had very little access to the type models that institutions use to trade the markets.
So Rick was talking about behavioral finance. So, trading is very much a psychological game, and it's mostly against yourself, right? So if you can't master your own psychology, you probably shouldn't bother doing this. And one of the book, probably the only book I will recommend you to actually try to get was Trading in the Zone. It's like an easy read. You can get it for free, but I won't tell you where to get it for free. I mean, I got my copy because I just went to a used bookstore and I just noticed that book. I was like, Trading in the Zone, huh? And I just picked it up and I just said like, oh, interesting. It wasn't anything mind blowing to me because I already understood that a lot of what they were saying in that book. And that's why a lot of times I never really explored trading, in my early years. So when I started doing investing, because I learned it from the small hat friend I had in middle school, and I started reading the Wall Street Journal in high school. And from that point on, I started recommending stocks to my parents, and because they had the money, I didn't have any money. So I just told them what to get. And, when looking at my parents, it was like, yeah, my dad was always worried about the price movements every day. It didn't matter. Like, if you're a long-term investor, why do you care about that? And a lot of failure in investing, trading, anything you do that takes risk is all a mindset. If you're not willing to lose, you're not going to make it. You're just going to have to stick it out for the long term or the actual target that you're hoping for. And everything has a time frame. If you're trading like a day trader, you're just a scalper. You're just trying to get a quick profit at a certain time, and you're supposed to minimize losses. You just take your you just set up a rule, you have a system, and you follow it through and through. If you're an investor, you know, you have a longer time frame, you have more room to maneuver, you know where you're going though, and you take it from there. So a lot of it is still mindset. It's just a mindset thing. And yeah, my dad just could not stand when Apple would fluctuate. And if you look at Apple, you buy it from the 90s, as I told my parents to do. Why did it matter? Because in 10, 20 years, it's like 8,000, 5,000, 10,000. And if you held it all the way through, it's like probably 20,000%. I think I showed that chart before. It's just like it doesn't matter. If you're a short-term person, yeah, you just have the mindset of like you get your goal for that day. You get like, okay, I'm going to hit my target. I'm going to make like a few $100 that day, or I do a percentage, right? I'm going to hit like a percentage of my account that day. And that's it. You just stick to the mindset. Focus on your goals, how you want to trade or invest. And that's it. That's all you have to be concerned about. So read that book. I think if you need it, I mean, a lot of people might not need it. Maybe they already have the right mindset, but I think a lot of people don't have the right psychology. So it'll be good if Universal Jones, like he's bought that book, he's read it by now, I think, and you know he can chime in, and we could probably have a discussion on like trader psychology with other people that trade and things like that.
And they're not the typical, even if they're technical traders, most institutional traders are not using the type technical analysis tools that most individual investors use. Will I say that they never look at a 50 or 200-day moving average? No, I'll say they do, but they're not looking at it in the same way. They're often not trading off of them. They're not looking at the crossover the way an individual investor may and take the idea of a golden cross or a death cross or any of the things that kind of the individual side has named and decided that these are meaningful things. Institutional traders work with a different mindset. And part of it is looking to see what the little guy is doing, and part of it is to see what other institutions are doing. And this is where the role of behavioral finance comes into the marketplace, especially on the institutional side. So when I put In the Know Trader together, I think it was last April that I launched the very first issue. And by the way, you can go to inthenowtrader.com and take a look at kind of what we do and the background that this comes from. The intent here was to provide individual investors access through my writings about the markets to how institutional portfolio managers and traders actually trade the markets, because they're not looking for an overbought signal to sell into. They're not necessarily looking for an oversold signal to buy into, the same way kind of individual investors take technical analysis almost, dare I say, as gospel, instead of the way I look at it, and many of my colleagues do, which is simply a tool to help better time the odds of that what you're doing in the market is slightly better than a flip of a coin, right? In theory, market can move up, it can move down, and of course it can move sideways, but it's essentially a flip of a coin at any given time. So technical analysis helps understand what trends are, if things are in trends, potentially buy into support in an uptrend, sell into resistance in a downtrend. But the institutional marketplace looks at things a little differently. Of course, that basic part they can do. But their focus is more so on trend exhaustion, because any portfolio manager knows the most money is made being correctly positioned for the next move that's coming. And then if they're correctly positioned and that move comes, they can let all the other investors in the marketplace push and create the trend that they foresaw coming. So if you think of, here, let me take an example. If a stock bottoms at $20 and then ultimately rallies to, let's say, 60, and then starts pulling back, you had a $40 move. So if you bought 20 and sold 60, you made 100% of the move. You took out the best you could. The problem is most people and most tools out there that exist don't get you to buy a stock that goes to 20. They probably won't get you long until it's, I'd say, mid-20s. And if something peaked at 60, by the time you realize the peak is the peak, you're probably selling it at 55 or less. In fact, fair to say it's 55 or less. And therefore, most traders and classic portfolio managers on the street, those who are really fundamentally oriented and will only lightly look at charts, tend to miss 15 to 20% of the available move on either side of the greater move, which means at best, they've got 70% to work with. And if you know anything about statistics, 70% represents the first standard deviation of price activity. So
that's important for you to hear. Most retail people, doing the basic charting, they'll just follow the trend. But if you want to beat most people, it's better if you find the beginning and end of the trend as closely as you can. And that's why, I talked about those nines and things. It's like there are more advanced techniques. The problem is I don't know them. I never cared to study too much about them because with my sloppy ways of trading, I'm fine because I have the money to be a little bit wrong, right? I can afford to be a little bit wrong. I don't need to be perfect. But if you have less capital or if you're doing leverage, you're trading with margin, you're trading in the futures, you're trading options. If you're a little bit wrong, that's painful, if not downright dangerous, because you might blow up your account. So for me, it's like I'm just buying and selling straight shares. I don't care. I can wait. If I'm wrong a little bit, I can wait. But a lot of people, probably this is not the way to go. This is why I'm introducing this stuff, because if you are more interested in being precise, yeah, you got to look for more advanced techniques. And I'm going to have to look into this a little bit more. I can tell you how to do this, perhaps. But it might take a year-long project for me to like properly do this, because if I'm going to get to this dude's level, it's going to take a while.
they're kind of playing in the fat part of the bell curve. And what I've done and what the better institutional traders do is look to play in the second and third standard deviations of price activity. In other words, play the tails more. Buy when there's blood in the streets, because there's enough information and perspective that's likely darn close to the low, and that we don't need to see the S&P rally hundreds of points or the Dow thousands of points before we say, oh, that was the bottom. I guess we're in a bull trend. And the same thing on the top. So
yes, Portia, yes. A lot of the stuff I was talking about this maybe 2 streams ago about like portfolio construction and probabilities. Now, if you can quantify the risk, you can quantify the odds of having a certain gain. You can compute a matrix of a portfolio showing like what's the expected outcomes, the expected returns of a full portfolio. And if you can use chart, like the thing is like the problem is everyone is guessing. Well, what's the future returns of a stock this year? You don't know. That's very uncertain. and people just assume like they know what the probabilities of bond return is or a stock index is because they think it's easier. Oh, I know the S&P is probably 10% on average, so I should expect like, oh, probably this year will be 5%, next year will be 8%, next year will be 2%, maybe next year will be down 1%. And then bonds, they'll just like laugh it off and be like, okay, if I buy treasury bonds, a 10-year treasury bond, I would assume it's always going to give me like, okay, this much interest and that and this. But guess what? 2022, that was not true. Both stocks and bonds went down severely, leading to a loss of 18% for most people. So everyone with a 401k that was like invested in the basic bitch type of standard return fund would like be at a loss. They like probably only in 2023, late 2023 to early 2024 did they recovered their loss, and only until now did they see a profit. So that's why, yes, math can be quite important, but we have to figure out and quantify what are the odds. And this is my problem. Can we use the charts to tell us what's the odds are, what the risks are, what the expected returns are? That's the question I'm wondering.
In the Know Trader was born out of my desire to help the individual investor get access to the way institutional traders think. And again, myself having been over 3 decades on both the buy and sell side of Wall Street, I come with that type background as well as a real trader's background. And in the Know Trader, yeah.
A question for you,
Sure.
maybe just for a little bit of clarity here. So when you're looking, at the market and you're looking at, potential bottoms, tops, and so forth, are you looking to get either fully invested in the market or move to cash, or are you looking more at just kind of moving your money around the market, going from maybe one area of the market that's run to another area of the market that's been lagging? So is it more looking at relative strength or looking for reversals in relative strength, or is it strictly, okay, the market's run too far, I'm going to move to cash. Okay, now it's come down. Now I'm ready to get back in. How would you answer?
The answer, Tom, to that is yes to all of them.
Okay.
I will look anywhere and everywhere there is opportunity that presents itself, whether it's in relative terms, whether it's in absolute terms. And we'll take a look here. Let me pull up, for instance, let me see if I can get to, let's look at the S&P. So here's a chart of the S&P over the last few months. Here's the all-time high in early October. Here's the low in December around Christmas time, and here's the move since. I'm going to look at signals, again, and some of these models are not available to the general public unless you really want to lay out some serious coin. So for instance, one of the models that fits very nicely into the work I do, which tends to be counter trend analysis, is a model by Tom DeMark, which is called sequential. And sequential is a model he developed in the early 1970s. It's been minimally tweaked since. So we're talking, almost pushing 50 years that he first developed this. And it's basically the same model from now that it is now that it was 50 years ago. Which shows the robustness of the model, that it didn't need to be continuously tweaked and backfitted. So I understand in the time we have here, I can't walk you through the whole model, but I will say that part of In the Know Trader, besides being a newsletter that I have myself for clients that anybody can join up in, is also every week on stock charts. On Tuesdays at 3:00, we do a show just like you guys do, but it's called In the Know Trader. So it's a webcast on stockcharts.com that in the last 3 weeks, I have more in-depth explained what this model is so that people can become familiar with it and understand what I'm doing in the Know Trader newsletter.
So he doesn't present on Stock Charts TV anymore. Actually, Stock Charts TV actually had a downsizing. So yeah, they don't present there anymore.
So we do this half-hour weekly webcast on Tuesdays. As is many of the shows, it gets repeated multiple times. It then goes over to YouTube. So these are fully accessible. If you search for my name, Rick Benson, you are on YouTube, you'll see all these stock charts in the No Trader webcast that we've done. And it's a good way to get a sense of some of these models, how I use them, why I use them, and the type signals they can get. So for instance, without going into all the details, I can tell you that when we get to a 13 count, it often represents a very poor time to be playing the trend in the direction that it had been moving. And often, if you're somewhat aggressive, creates a sense of possibly fading the trend. So just a couple days before the all-time highs, we have a 13 suggesting exhaustion of trend. We've just now rallied significantly. We're through a 62% Fibonacci retracement, which lots of individual investors look at, some, but less so on the institutional side. But we're getting close here on a shorter term basis to a potential peak in price. And I myself did some selling of names that I had bought in December yesterday, knowing that we're awfully close, not having the need to try to time it exactly right, but very willing to take some healthy profits on names that I've been long since mid-December. Excuse me. So this is just one of the models we look at, and again, you can learn more about it. You can look at some stuff online, but if you tune into the last 3 webcasts that we've done for stock charts over the last 3 weeks, I walk you through this model and show you some of the implications of signals that show up. Now, part of In the No Trader 2 is trying to get you to think more like an institutional trader. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And part of it is kind of potentially opening your eyes to new and different ways of looking at the markets than a pure 100% technical way, which many people do, especially who are stock charts viewers. They're technicians, and yes, I'm a technician, but I'm also a market timer and I'm kind of a behavioral market specialist. So I'm looking for all different signs of what could possibly be the end of a trend that people will not understand or realize is the end of the trend. The move down in December, even here, if we take a look at the S&P, we know that it took out here. I'll make it, I'll put an ellipse around or something. So here's the February low that had held for the whole year until we broke down in December. And the breaking down, the severity of the breakdown made everybody say, okay, I don't want to say everybody, made many people think we're in a bear market. I've been telling clients for over a month, we are not in a bear market. We were never in a bear market on this move. And this overshot to the downside actually just minimally broke our downside target of 2371 by about 1%. And the day after it does that, the Dow or the S&P rallied, I think it was 115 points. The Dow rallied 1,000 points. And, we were in print to saying this is a low, a solid low, but I can't tell you it's the low. Until mid-January, I came across a different chart, and I think I have it here. Let me see. No, it's in.
I got a question while you're looking this up, Rick.
Yep.
I can see all those numbers in there, almost like counts. Is this similar to Elliott Wave?
No, it's
not at all.
It's actually not at all.
Okay.
So the counts you're seeing here are actually relationships, and it's simple math. The counts are simple math. It's relationship between price bars. A 9 count up, and this is a monthly chart of the ACWI All World Index ex-US. This, I'm just using this as an example, but you'll see anytime you go 9 consecutive price bars, in this case it's months, so 9 consecutive months that the close at the last trading day of the month is above the close from 4 months prior, the bar gets a number to it. And it's looking for this to happen 9 consecutive times. If any time along the way, any one of these closes is not above the close from 4 bars back, the numbers drop off, and you actually get a 1 showing up underneath the price bar, suggesting that this close is less than the close from 4 bars back. In order to do this phase of this DeMark model, you've got to minimally go 9 consecutive price bars, close above close from 4 months ago. In the case of a monthly chart, that's often all a market moves before it gets some type of pullback. You don't necessarily know how much it is, but it helps identify, again, potentially a lousy time to be a buyer in an uptrend. The same thing here on the downside, that marked the low. Hold on, let me pull this down so we can get the dates in here. Do a little more. So here in 2016, when the market sold off, this happened to conclude 9 consecutive months that the closing price in this ETF, ACWX, was less than the close from 4 months prior. And we move up, we go sideways, but it's only until this part here in 2017 that you actually go 9 months close above the close from 4 back. And we did extend a little beyond that. But what made me turn very bullish in January and help conclude that there was no bear market and there is no bear market coming, is that this ETF, which represents the All Country World Index minus the US, right? So this is basically all of Europe and all of Asia, the best markets there. Whereas the US didn't break really until the end of the year. The rest of the world was kind of selling off the whole year of 2018. And we actually got down to 9 consecutive months, starting January, that the close was less than the close from 4 months prior. That happening against the uptrend line that came from the 2009 low, against another element of this DeMark model, which is this horizontal line, said to me right in here that there is very high chance that there is no bear market, and whatever decline Europe and Asia had seen is done.
So I think that gives you a good idea of this DeMark model. And yeah, count the 9s, friends. Count the 9s. I don't know. It's kind of esoteric, kind of astrology based, you know, but maybe some of you might find it interesting that are interested in numerology. Yeah, if you know numerology, you know that type of stuff. Anyway, let's look at the markets right now. It's doing fine. So after we had our $10 a.m. Eastern report from the University of Michigan. Actually, it was very bad data. The University of Michigan survey shows that people are expecting higher inflation. And yet the market did a little return and it bounced. So the NASDAQ, opening at a low, has recovered back to this resistance line. QQQ at 493.5 resistance line. It's right now at 493. So it kind of touched it. It kind of retreated. Now let's look at the SPY S&P 500 ETF. It's now making a new high. So there you go. Very interesting. So bad news still means good news, I guess. So Air Semiconductors, it dropped to so low and it's bouncing back. I don't know if I want to get into that, but yeah, it's in a definite position here. I think this is definitely a resistance point at this line here. Yeah, definitely one. So we see that, right? Pretty close to that area. We have to break that 15 before we see anything significant. Now, let's Palantir. How's Palantir doing? Still doing good. So nothing to worry about that. Nvidia. Yeah, okay. It's okay. Not making any stronger gains, but still above that 50% area still. So I think we're good for next week. So I'm going to hold my long positions that I have held since here. Whatever I traded here, I already sold. They're done. So if you're playing SOX L leverage ETF, which is 3 times the move of SOX X. So let's say you have about 30% move. So probably about 50, right? So let's say 30% move. That means SOX X has to move about 10%. So 10%. Perfect. Yeah, it will be here. It will close this gap here between this area. So if it can get past here and get up to another 10% because of TSM, we'll see. I mean, TSM will report Thursday morning. I have no idea if it will be good or bad. And at the same time, we'll have retail sales and China data around the same day. So a lot of activity will happen there. But as far as I'm concerned, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will just be earnings and mostly bank earnings. So no tech earnings yet. We won't have tech earnings. So I don't know what the NASDAQ will do in the meantime before Thursday. So any kind of news might shake it out. Let me check bonds right now. Bonds, TLT. Yep, still weak. I may start buying bonds using the TMF ETF. So I think I already started trying to buy a little bit of this when it got close to 50. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy more. I mean, this will be a good play if the stock market starts really hemorrhaging. But I think eventually, yeah, it will try to hold around this area and this blue rectangle. So it could, yeah, TLT might get down to 91%. If it gets down to 91%, so that's about 2% left. So that's about 6% down on TMF. So yeah, look around 47. So let's say 47 on TMF. TMF 3X bull ETF. So if you got, yeah, put a target around 47 to start looking to buy. But you can buy now, but be aware that you might have to buy more later. Let me check the gold miners. Yeah, gold miners doing well. Perfect. So it bounced off of here. I think gold miners will try to hit that resistance again. Once it hits that resistance, the next time it'll break out. So the silver miner that I'm looking at, EXK, so I bought it around here at just below $3, around 280. Now it's at 440. Like, I think it has room to move up, assuming silver does not crap out. That's the danger. Silver is still having a hard time getting through $32 an ounce. Gold looks like it's recovering. Not bad. So, and we'll have to look at copper. If all 3 metals are moving up, that's a good sign. Copper has to recover from its initial pull up from the Chinese stimulus. Yeah, it still needs to get closer to $5 per $5 per pound. And yeah, silver still needs to get above 32, 33 and finally clear it, because it's been stuck at this 30-ish level for a while now. I think people are going to get tired of this. I gotta look solar futures, yeah. Yeah. We definitely need to clear this. We gotta get to 50 by next year. So, but anything could happen till Halloween. Anything. If there's a liquidity drain, then everything will sell off. It doesn't matter. The only thing that will survive is the dollar. Dollar now is back up to 103 dollar index. So yeah, we held support there. So let's look at the yen. Yeah, dollar yen. Yep. So dollar is still strengthening. So watch that. And I think China will report their new financial loans over the weekend. So we'll see. Also has inflation report. So anything that happens in China, you will not see until Sunday morning. Still in this range. I have shorts in the Chinese stock market. I don't know, using Yang. I'm not sure I keep them or not. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just still holding them, I guess. I have no idea what China will say over the weekend. So anything can happen. Yeah, I don't know. Anything could happen. There's nothing that gives me any reason to think it's bullish or bearish either way. So yeah, QQQ is about to break out. Is above resistance. No, not bad. So I think next week will be pretty good up until Thursday. Unless another bank like Bank of America or Citibank or something else says like, hey, nothing's looking good. I don't think there will be any problem. And we'll have to see if there's any geopolitical stuff over the weekend. Usually there is. But overall, yeah, I think I'll have to give natural gas a benefit of the doubt and try to hold this thing. So I'm not going to do anything with that. Okay, anything else? Anything else to talk today? We are at 2 hours. I think we're good to go to end the weekend. So next time we meet, I will try to do the bar charts, and I think I want to give you this stuff to do for homework. So the first thing I gave you for homework was the Wyckoff PDF. And okay, I'm gonna send it on chat again. This is what your homework was. Yeah, you can read it again, reading it over and over is not a bad thing. But if you guys are tired of reading that, then it's time for you to go look at Anatomy of a Trade by Jim Forte, that PDF right there. And it has all these little diagrams, and you got to conceptualize it, okay? You got to put it in your mind. Try to learn what it is, okay? But I'll give you another website, Squarespace, right here. You can go to the Trading Resources website for Wyckoff Analytics. Okay. Go there and check out the stuff there. They have all the PDFs you need. You got the Anatomy of a Trading Range by Jim Forte, but you also have these other ones. And so if you have time, start looking through them. I think the power charting blog is something I'll cover myself with you guys into November. But if you want, you can read that. They also have some books you can buy if you want. You don't need to. These are optional. They're definitely, you don't need to read all this stuff. You just look at the PDFs, look at the online blog for free. Get that stuff in your minds, because once we start trading, you got to be ready. You just got to be ready. You just got to trust me. You go like boom, 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 boom. And I'll try to make it systematic. But all this stuff is just for knowledge. You guys want to absorb the knowledge. And then in November, we start applying the knowledge. Okay, that's the key. That's what these guys try to teach you. They go like, well, accumulating all this knowledge, that's fine and dandy, but if you don't apply it, it's worthless, right? So that's really the problem. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to accumulate all this esoteric knowledge and things like that. So what? Can you apply it to real life? Is your mindset and your psychology ready to trade? That's the question. Once you're ready to move, you move. You make your trades. You make it quick. You make your money, and that's it. So yes, you can start reading this more, and then after that, all this Wyckoff stuff. I'm trying to see if I can incorporate CKJ3's ICT trader. And this dude has his own live stream and stuff. So he live streams stuff right now in the morning. He has his own style of investing, and from what I could tell, it's definitely derived from the Wyckoff method. So it's a simplified, distilled version of Wyckoff. So this inner circle trader. So this is what CKJ3 uses for his futures trading. Okay. So you might have a lot of benefit going over here and start looking at those videos and look it up online. There's a lot of blogs and stuff that talk about it because I think it's derived from the same methodology, but now it's distilled, simplified in a way where you could quickly use it to trade. So this is what he uses. So if you want to jump ahead of me and go ahead and read watch those videos, you can. So I think yes, we need to get quickly up to speed as possible because this market is going to go crazy. From what I see, if it moves the way it does to a next new high in the NASDAQ, then once we get closer to elections, oh boy, all hell is going to break loose. All hell is going to break loose because I know, everybody knows something's going to be stinking real soon. Money is never made this easy. Come on. You can't tell me that you're just going to go up, up, up to here without any problems and just keep going beyond that. I don't think so. I do not think so. 580. Yep. That's a perfect round number. Perfect time to get trapped. Yeah, I think you should read it. Watch it, Momo. I mean, a lot of people that do not have big capital, they can jump into futures trading, get a margin account, start practicing. The faster you start practicing, the better it is because the market's not going to get easy very soon. So, because I would say like probably starting December to January, it might be good until March. Then it'll get difficult again from March to December next year. And then from there on, like, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I can't guarantee it's a smooth ride. Like, it was smooth if you were in the 2007, 2008 crash era and then got in. And then went from 2013, from there, it was easy. But if you didn't, it's just tough. Tough. I don't expect a smooth ride at all, but we'll see. Maybe it is. And also, if you want to trade crypto, yes, you should get a Coinbase account. I have no idea if there's better. You got to talk to Rashu about that. I mean, at this point, Binance is out, FTX is out. Like, if you're trading, I guess it's just Coinbase for the US people, because there used to be KuCoin and other like brokerages or exchanges for crypto, but yeah, I don't know if they're US friendly anymore. Yeah, you don't want the IRS to be up your ass because you use something that wasn't kosher, right? So anyway, yeah, SPY still up. NASDAQ still below its resistance there. I mean, we're just barely above it. We're going to have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, guys. That's good to go. I think I'll leave you with this video before I leave.
Where is demand coming in? Bar number 1, bar number 2, bar number 3, bar number 4, bar number 5, bar number 6, 7, and 8. Oh, there are quite a few. Okay, so let's just go through this. Bar number 1, demand is coming in, not holding really well, still suggesting continuation. The supply tail on this one is more than the demand tail. So still supply is winning. Bar number 2, most definitely demand is coming in now. Volume is increasing, demand is coming in, we have demand tail, and the price holds in that upper part. So here we're thinking, okay, we're gonna rally from here. How do we rally? Bar number 3, diminishing demand. Bar number 4, even more diminishing demand into the area of the resistance, suggesting another reaction. We react. Bar number 5, we try to stop again, kind of equivalent of bar number 2, but it doesn't show the same close. It's a little bit lower, and the spread is a little bit smaller. So still to the downside. And then bar number 6 is kind of like crucial bar. So here on Friday, expiration day, we're seeing how demand is coming in, and we are producing a much better demand tail than anything that we've seen before. And then at the same time, supply tail is starting to diminish. So this is the first bar where demand is expanding. So bar number 6. Demand is expanding, and we see how the upward result on the demand tail relative to the supply tail is expanding as well. So therefore, how would we call this? Synchronicity, right? We're seeing that synchronicity between effort and the result. Then confirmation follows. Bar number 7, demand is diminishing, suggesting reaction. And what kind of reaction do we have today? Doesn't really come to the low of bar number 6. And then demand tail again into the upper part of that bar. And we have a slight increase in the volume signature here. So demand is slightly increasing and pushing the price into the more favorable close. So do you see the whole sequence now? Right? Effort is increasing. Result is increasing. Bullish or bearish? Bullish. So from both sides, we're expecting a rally. From the side of the selling and from the side of the demand. Okay, now that we're seeing this short-term picture and we know how the reversal should happen, overcome this 1/2, have a bar like this, intrude as much as possible.
Yeah, so this is something you got to get into, because if you can analyze bars like this, you're really at an advanced level. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. Let's look at this for a little bit before I leave. So I hid all the bars after this point. So this is May 2020. I mean, May 2022. Yeah, so this is what we were looking at, right? These were the bars we were looking at. So let's go and look at the next bar up. Yeah, down, down. Okay, down, down. So he was talking about like, yes, there's a lot of supply here because there's a big supply tail. So next. Yeah, we're going down. Going down. Okay. So now we see this first green bar up. We have a demand tail there. That's what he was talking about. So next one, next one. Yeah, we're going up. We're going back down. That's it. This one, next supply tail, demand tail, I mean. We have a big one there. So he's looking at every candle and he was looking at what the significance was. And then boom. Now, this was the candle we're looking for. It's penetrating more than half of this red candle. And we're finally going up. And we're going back up to this blue line, which was resistance. But what happens after that? Yeah, we got red candle here. Couldn't touch the resistance. We're going back down. One more try. Nope. Can't do it. Nope. Can't do it. Can't break that blue line. Okay. So, this is the thing. We got to look at every candle. Look at everything. And this is why it's so important for you to read that PDF that I gave you, all this stuff, because within this daily chart, you know, I could just look further. I could just look at the 65 minute chart, or yeah, the 1 hour chart basically of this thing, and you can look at this structure in detail. So I could zoom in. Before I was looking at daily, now I'm looking at the hourly, and I could see that this thing looks like a distribution, right? So that's why you got to read that PDF. That's why, because, you know, if we're going to be a trader here, we have to look at all these fractals. You got to look at everything in different time frames. And that's one thing I'll have to discuss to you guys later is multiple time frame analysis. And that's way more advanced than what we're discussing right now. I don't want to get into it, but that's kind of a preview of what you will see. Because if you look at the daily, you don't really see anything. I mean, you just see this. Yeah, but this area here might not be clear. You just know that it can't get above resistance. That's definitely true. But before this big red candle came along, how did you know that was going to happen? I mean, if you look at the hourly, though, you can see that this was probably a distribution because it was making a weaker high each time. It was going down, down, down. And then this final one, that was it. That was enough. Because this point here, once it broke it down completely, it was done. It was toast. So there, you probably would have shorted it around here at this area. You would have took your chance Thursday, June 9th, 2022. Yeah. So, yep. Read that PDF. Let me put that link up for you guys. Go to the resources. WyckoffSquarespace.com. Wyckoff Trading Resources. Look at that. And the PDF. Again, that's your homework if you didn't read it. So we'll see you guys the next time around. I don't know if I'll see you over the weekend, if I'm busy or not. Otherwise, maybe Monday, Columbus Day, Indigenous, whatever day, Indigenous, yeah, Indigenous. What do they call it? Indigenous what? Indigenous Peoples Day? Is that all they call it? Oh, Indigenous Peoples Day. Oh yes. So respect Angel there, you know. Angel is an indigenous person. PDF has 2. Yeah, I mean read the other one. Read the other PDFs. They give you like the more yeah, go there to the why cost Squarespace. Go look at all the other PDFs, whatever they have, presentations, and you'll see. But those are just templates. I mean, then nothing is going to be exactly looking like that, okay? You just need to know the basic terminologies like upthrust, last point of supply, things like that. That's all that is. But you just need to recognize the type of structure that we're looking for. Okay, Momo. So that's it for now. And maybe later we'll talk about the 9s and 13s again, the DeMark indicators. And if you're interested in DeMark, his son started a website with the trading charting program, and you can subscribe to them. So symbolink.com, it's a free account, but if you want the packages with the DeMark counts, the 9s, the 13s, all that good stuff, yeah, the C wave, D wave, all, yeah, there's so many more advanced techniques I haven't even covered yet. It's the DeMark stuff is really, I forgot what the title of the book was. There is a book written by DeMark, but it's not the one recommended because it's way too hard to understand. Though the one that's recommended is someone else. Man, I forgot what it was called. I have the PDF somewhere, but I don't know where it is in my computer. Yeah, I'll have to find it later for you guys some other time. I can't find it. Yeah, but you can look up Tom DeMark, Google it, and you can find out more of his history. But yeah, someone wrote a book, but it wasn't authored by DeMark. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Good day.